And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to discuss the NFC Championship game rematch between the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. So, obviously, you take it back to when these two teams met in January. It was not a good game for. The main reason is because Brock Purdy got hurt. You had Josh Johnson come in, and he just couldn't get anything going. They had Christian McCaffrey play quarterback, pretty much the rest of the game. Because actually, Josh Johnson got hurt too. I want to go back and to the stats for the game. But yeah, it was unfortunate because I really wanted to see a good game, and obviously, I was rooting for San Francisco because I'm a Giant fan, but. And I kind of wanted to see. I want to see these guys, win a Super Bowl. I think they deserve one. Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, Ayuk. I mean, I think they deserve a Super Bowl. And they've come up short. Well, McCaffrey obviously last year was he was traded there mid-season, but I think those guys they deserve a Super Bowl. But, obviously when Brock Purdy gets hurt, it's going to be tough. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the stats from that game. So, yeah, Josh Johnson was obviously their leading passer, 74 yards. Actually, I forgot. They did put Brock Purdy back in, but, he didn't, he couldn't throw the ball. So he was just, throwing little dump-offs and running the ball. But, yeah, it was tough to watch. I know McCaffrey did throw a pass, but actually I did forget that Brock Purdy did come back in the game, but he just couldn't do anything because he couldn't throw the ball. McCaffrey obviously was their leading rusher, 84 yards and a touchdown. Debo Samuel was their leading. Wow, that's rough. Debo Samuel was their leading receiver. He had 3 receptions for 33 yards. Eesh, that's rough. And then for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. He only went 15 to 25 for 121 yards. Did have a rushing touchdown. Boston Scott had a rushing touchdown. Miles Sanders had 2 rushing touchdowns. Obviously, he is no longer there. It's now DeAndre Swift, Gainwell, and Boston Scott. Devontae Smith had 2 receptions for 36 yards. Wow, I really did not realize how. I mean, there really wasn't. I mean, the Eagles dominated this game, but that's because, they got short field on some possessions too, because Josh Johnson did fumble the ball, and that gave them, short field on that possession. Man, nobody really lit up the stat sheet on the offensive side of the ball. But, yeah, the score ended up being 31-7. So, I mean, the game was tied at one point. McCaffrey scored that rushing touchdown. You're like, hey, maybe, the 49ers can... pull this off. But, yeah, that was not the case. So, now you flash forward to now. The Eagles right now have the best record in the NFL. Only 1 loss on the season. And, of course, that came against the New York Jets. How did that happen? But, again, that's the NFL for you. So, right now, the Eagles are 3-point underdogs at home, which is very interesting. Comparing the two teams, Niners are 9th in passing yards per game. Eagles are 14th in rushing yards per game. Both teams are top 10. Niners are 7th. Eagles are 8th. Points per game, both teams are tied for 3rd in the NFL, 28.2. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the Niners are 12th against the pass. The Eagles are 29th. The Niners are 2nd against the run. The Eagles are 3rd. And then points allowed, the Niners are 1st. And the Eagles are 20th. So, with this game, the one thing that I'll say is, I mean, even you saw it with the Niners too during their losing streak. I mean, both teams, although the Eagles more so, they struggled to cover the pass. And, the Eagles, that was kind of I would say it was a strength of them last year. They don't have C.J. Gardner-Johnson anymore. You still have Darius Slay. You still have, James Bradbury, but and then they traded for Kevin Byard at the deadline. But it's been an issue, and especially going up against this passing game. And if you have Brock Purdy playing the whole game, it's going to be this game is going to be a little different than the NFC Championship game was. Um, and I think the 49ers, they have the weapons where they can exploit that. Um, the Eagles, they've played from behind. Against the Chiefs, they were down 10. Against the Bills, they were down 10. But they came back and won those games. Um, I think this game will be close. I know in my spread pool, the spread was 2.5. Um, I'm gonna take the Niners in this game. I don't. I mean, listen. I feel like it's like a coin flip, you know. But I feel like the Eagles are due for a loss, and I was leaning towards the Eagles, but I kind of changed my mind. So with that being said, go ahead and take the Eagles. Same thing as last night. I said go ahead and take the Seahawks. I'm pretty sure I said that. Go ahead and take the Seahawks. Go ahead and take the Eagles because they'll probably end up winning and covering. Well, they have the points. They'll end up winning outright. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Eagles are due for a loss. There's been a lot of back and forth, on social media with these two teams. So, yeah, I don't know. We're definitely going to see. At times, it's going to get. There's going to be a little bit of some fights, not full on brawls, but there'll definitely be some chirping back and forth the whole game. Maybe some shoving points during the game because it's obvious these teams don't like each other. I mean, for me personally, I'm just hoping for a good game. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. Being able to watch this game. It should be a lot of fun this game. As long as nobody gets hurt, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But like I said, I think the 49ers, they can expose some of the weaknesses in the secondary for the Eagles. The Eagles are good against the run, like I just said, but Christian McCaffrey's gonna, do his thing. I have no doubt with that. And the other thing too is, I mean, the Eagles, they turn the ball over. That's an issue, and that's been a problem this year. And the 49ers, that's another thing they could take advantage of as well. You force Jalen Hurts to turn the ball over, you put yourself in a good position. To get some points out of it, So, I mean, I think, like I said, this game might be the game of the year. These are the top two teams in football, arguably. The Niners, I think they kind of got their bad stretch of football out of the way. And I think I did talk about that. I'm like, hopefully they get it out of the way by the time they play the Eagles, and they look like the Niners again. You get Trent Williams back, you get Deebo Samuel back, and, now things are looking like how they did, when they got off to a 5-0 start before they lost to P.J. Walker and the Browns. And we might be seeing Joe Flacco playing quarterback for the Browns on Sunday, which I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. But we'll get into that, when we preview their game. But yeah, I mean that's really all I have to say on this game. Like I said, Eagles. Maybe this is the week they finally lose, and then it doesn't get any easier for them. They have to play Dallas after this, but also credit to them. I mean, they're in their tough stretch right now, and they've answered the bell. I mean, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills. I know the Bills haven't, been great this year, but, Josh Allen played like Josh Allen on Sunday, last Sunday. So, that was a tough game for them. They could have lost it, but you know what? They've been on the winning side of pretty much every game except against the Jets. Still doesn't make any sense. But you know what? Again, and I keep saying it, every team is beatable. Every team has had a bad loss this year. That was their bad loss. So, that's why, like, when the playoffs roll around, I mean, it's going to be like, well, I really don't know. I don't know what to expect. Just hoping for a good week in the spread pool. Not off to a great start after last night, of course. And I actually been doing good with the Thursday night games, but, between last week on Thanksgiving and this week, I mean, it's not good. Not good. And again, there's not a lot of time to make up ground. I mean, mine does extend into the playoffs, but I really got to be close because there's not a lot of games in the playoffs. You got to be perfect, pretty much perfect. If you got any chance at because the top 4 spots get a prize in mine. So yeah, I mean, again, I don't really know what else to say with this game, other than really excited for it. And just hope that nobody gets hurt. Just please. Please, nobody get hurt. I mean, injuries have really affected this season. I really just don't want anything to happen in this game. Let these teams play each other full strength. And let's see, with the Niners having a quarterback, was that the difference between them getting to the Super Bowl or not getting to the Super Bowl? I don't know what I was saying there. Yeah, let's see. Is that the reason why, or are the Eagles still going to win even with Brock Purdy playing the whole game? But the game could go either way. I mean, the Eagles being a 3-point underdog, it's kind of it's definitely interesting. Because I know people have talked about that. Like I said, in my spread pool, it's 2.5. But I mean, we'll just have to see. Got a couple of days before it. So, but yeah, before I get into, before we go into our second break of the show, again, I just want to remind you guys, as we're winding down here, the end of the segment here. So to tip or donate, make your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, really helps the show, makes it more interactive between myself, the host, and you, the viewer. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below there. So yeah, when we come back from our second break of the show, we're going to preview the early window games, of course. We'll also get into some of the big college football matchups. We'll preview those as well. I'll do the best I can with that. Obviously we have Oregon and Washington tonight, so that gets the weekend started with college football. Of course, you have Georgia and Alabama this week. You also have Iowa and Michigan. Just some of the names, just some of the games that strike you, will come to mind for this weekend. So we'll get into those, and obviously, back to, it's weird. Last week you had every team in the NFL playing, and now again there's teams on byes. I don't know why they had it like that, but whatever. I guess that's just how the schedule plays out. So, but yeah, so that is what we will do when we come back from our second break of the show. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.